Oh my God, manifestors, it's happening. It's the day we're starting it, the 5-day challenge. So excited. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to jump on just because I know sometimes it takes a little while. Maria, how are you? How you been manifesting, girl? Tell me what you're manifesting right now. I want to hear it. Can you tell me? I want you to put in the comments. This is going to be a little bit different, guys. Amanda, Laura, you guys are jumping on. This is awesome. So this is going to work differently than any of my other live videos that you've seen. I'm engaging with you guys more than I'm lecturing. Today is more about you. Christina, oh my God, what up? All right, everyone's jumping on. This is so awesome. I'm super, super honored to be here. I want to make that clear. I am so blessed and excited. This is going to be rocking, guys. I'm so, so pumped. So how many of you, give me a thumbs up or a heart just so I know, how many of you did the homework assignment about making your lack list? How many of you guys did that? Thumbs up, heart, like, something. Maybe nobody did it. Okay, Laura did it. Maria did it. Really cool. Tony, I'm really happy you're here too. Christy. Okay, so we got a lot of people doing their lack list. This is huge. Oh my gosh, all of you. Awesome. Amazing. So full disclosure, guys, by the end of this course, you are going to feel totally different. And this is only 5 days. So I want you to start getting excited about that. And I know it's hard because the first challenge is like, hey, go look at your shit, right? That's basically what I told you to do. So this challenge was really to stare yourself in the face of all of the problems that you've been weighing on your back. And there's a reason for this. So by the end of this 5 days, that shit's not going to matter anymore. It's going to be gone. You might have to work on it a little bit every now and again, but the point is we're going to recognize that shit and see it exactly for what it is, and we're going to move forward and far beyond. So we're going to start this off with a little explanation of what makes confidence, okay? And I'm going to explain it by telling you what makes not confidence, because it's the easiest way to describe what this emotion, this really like existential sort of thing, what it really is and how it exists and manifests in our life. So confidence, when we don't have it, is because there's a very large gap between where we are now versus where we want to be. And we look at that gap and we say to ourselves, shit, that sucks. And that's lacking confidence. It's really that simple, guys. So anytime you look at your body and you say, well, it's really fat and I want it to be really thin, that gap, because it's really big and uncomfortable, creates an insecurity. Anytime you say, well, I feel broke and hungry for money, right? And I don't have it. And by the way, when I'm going through, can you guys tell me what's on your lack list? Like, I want to know, this would be a beautiful place to start. Tell me what you put down on that list for your challenge. It could be, give me the first big thing that comes to your mind. I shared mine with you guys. For me, the biggest thing that came up was like my, I think really my mental illness and the history that I struggled with. The fact that I have that in the back of my sort of book, so to speak. Maria, if the video isn't loading for you, try Wi-Fi. If you're not, sorry, Sherry. If the video is not loading for you, try checking your Wi-Fi, signing out and signing on. Sometimes that has, causes a problem. Okay, so not loved. Chrissy is putting not loved on her lack list. Nicole says weight has been her struggle her entire life. Not wanted, right? Okay. Give me some more, guys. What do you got on your lack list? I would love to see it. Love. I would love the lack. Show me the lack. Alcohol abuse, overweight, not loved, feeling, taken for granted. Okay. Controlling father, head injury, PTSD from that. Underestimating myself and mental illness. Maria, awesome. Every time I see that, I'm like, wow, yeah. Because the truth is you're not ill. There's nothing wrong with you. I missed one here. We have Amanda says her weight issue, going from NARC family to NARC. Okay. Money. So here's thrown away. Wow, not good enough. We got a lot from you guys. This is abandonment. Oh my God, keep them coming. This is juicy, juicy stuff. So here's what happens, right? We go through trauma. We go through these really difficult moments in our life. And then our brains become, I said this in my trauma lecture if you didn't catch it. Basically, anything that trauma is anything where your brain distorts itself and starts thinking differently because of some experience, and not in a good way, right? That's what I define trauma as. So bullying can be trauma. A family member leaving you, the death of a loved one, abuse, it really doesn't matter. There's no scale, right? There's no like this is worse than this and this is worse than this, right? That's not really how it happens. Trauma is anything that we experience in our life that changes how we think. And so all of you are here because you've been through trauma. There is not a single person in this group who is not the victim of trauma. So I want you guys to understand that, because we're all coming from the same space. Even though we've been through different things, even though different experiences brought us here, we've all been through struggles that brought us to this amazing, beautiful group. And I'm so honored and so happy you're here. So when we talk about our lack list is why we are not confident. We are unhappy because we are missing things. They're lacking, right? So I want you to take a look at your list if you have it in front of you, or if you don't and you're taking notes. I want you to take a look at that list and do two things. The first thing I want you to do is look at that and say, is this something that I can control? And if it's not, I want you to cross it out lightly. Don't scribble it, because we're going to go back to it. Lightly cross it out. So you're going to take your list and you're going to say, okay, well, being abused when I was 13, for example, that gets a cross out. The fact that I have an ex-husband who's an alcoholic, drug addict, goes through a cross out. Those are things that affect my self-esteem. It makes me, for example, having an ex who went through all of those things really makes me feel insecure sometimes in my current relationship, and I have to do a lot of work to heal that time and time again. The fact that I have a mental illness, right? Can I control that? Can I control that? I want you to decide whether or not you cross it off your list based on what you feel right now. Because for me, that's within my control. Years ago it wasn't, but I got to a point where I could really take care of it and I could really monitor it and live this amazing, abundant life. So that one I'm going to leave up to you guys if you choose to cross it through or not. But I want you to take the things that are not within your control, aka things that happened in the past, aka things that people did to you, right? I want you to cross it off for a reason. Sherry, don't worry. I promise. The video is going to be recorded so you can come back, okay? So the reason I want you guys to cross those things off is because oftentimes when we go through these really difficult experiences in the past, we let them dictate our future. And that's what you guys are doing when you put those things on your list. You're basically saying, this bad thing happened to me at X point in my life, and now I'm going to let it control how I live the rest of my life. And I don't want that to happen to you guys. So what you're going to be left with is a list of things that are within your control. And I want you to save that, because in a couple of days we're going to dive into that a little bit deeper. Okay? So at this point you should be able to separate what you can control versus shit that happened to you, right? So, oh, that's right. I'm telling you, Sherry. I just realized I'm telling Sherry don't worry when Sherry can't hear or see me. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you so much for responding to her. That was really nice of you. Okay, so here's the thing. When we have these traumatic experiences in the past that dictate how we feel now, they become a part of our identity. Even if we stuff them down and pretend like they don't exist, they become a solid part of who we are. Okay? I'll give you an example. I was almost in this really traumatic car accident, and I say almost, and the fact that it was traumatic because I was on a highway and the car I almost hit turned and did a 360, and I remember seeing him in my rearview mirror thinking, holy shit, I almost killed this man. And it really, this was 2008, it really impacted me. It scared me. It freaked me out, right? Years later, I have moments where I'm driving down the road and I feel like, oh my God, holy shit, is this guy going to hit me? Like, I'm overly scared, right? That traumatic experience that I went through back then dictates how I drive now. And that's kind of a metaphor for how we live our lives. If you've been through something difficult years and years and years ago, it's going to affect, shape, and dictate how you walk and how you exist and how you live and how you show up in your life now. So we got to recognize what those things are. So every single thing you crossed off your list right now, is beautiful because it's giving you the opportunity to look at what it is, see it for what it is, and ask yourself, are you ready to let go of this? Are you really ready to let go of this? Because I think we often play that victim mindset, right? Like where things have happened to us so often, time and time again, that we hate, that screw us over, that take advantage of us, and it almost becomes part of our identity. One traumatic experience in one particular area of our life is fine. 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, we get to a point where we're kind of like, oh shit, this is my life. This is who I'm going to be. This is what I'm supposed to be. And that's not the case. So I want you guys to know this manifesting group is not about playing victim to what we've been through. We want to be fucking warriors, okay? We want to take everything that we've been through, fuel the hunger and the drive that we have to create confidence in our life and propel forward, okay? So that's what we're going to do. That's how this process is going to happen. I love all of you for being so dedicated and honest. So tell me, from the things that you put on your list, what did we cross out? I want you to share. When you looked at that list, what were some of the things, for me on my list, having body image issues, struggling with my weight, right? Those are things I can control, so I didn't cross that out. But for something that I can't control, past experience, people taking advantage of me, X, Y, and Z, those are things you want to cross out. So what did you cross out? Tell me. Anybody? I find it hard to believe nobody crossed anything out. You know, here's the thing. I think not loved and not wanted. Christy is crossing that out. That's good. Oh, Maria says, I can control all of it, crossing it out. Awesome. Never feeling like I can figure it out. This is my fault or not. Yeah. Amazing. Okay, so Robin has a beautiful one. Robin says, being raped and growing up with alcoholic parents. Yeah. Okay, so this is, and Brandy's crossing off feeling unloved by her dad. Oh, you guys, this is awesome. So Brandy, you have a perfect example, and so does Robin. This is just a beautiful gift that you guys have. You've been through something traumatic that has affected you and has put you in a place where you are not living the life that you truly deserve because of something that has happened to you in the past. And you may not realize it, but subconsciously that trauma has affected and dictated the choices that you've made now. So we want to start crushing that, right? Listen, I know you guys all came here to build confidence, but I'm going to get real with you. In order to build up first, we got to demolish and lay a flat plane, right? It's like if you have this house that's a huge, huge mess and you're going to build a beautiful piece of home on this property that you have, you want to demolish all that junk first before you can start rebuilding and lay a solid foundation. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to pull out some of that clutter and start rebuilding. So all of those traumatic experiences that we've been through, I see we got some guys jumping on again. This is so awesome. I want you to know that you do not have to live a life being defined by those past experiences. But in order to live a life where you're not defined by those past experiences, you need to acknowledge them. And I have a feeling that a lot of you out there have been stuffing them down for a long time. We stuff them with food, we stuff them with drugs and alcohol, we stuff them with just ignoring them and pretending they'll go away, right? This is what we do when we have a trauma. We stuff. But I want to give you guys the incentive and the liberty to be released of these bad past experiences. But in order to do that, you need to see them. You need to face them for what they are. And you need to get real about how they've affected you. And so if you're ready to grow and if you're ready to take that step and if you're ready to say, well, hey, I've been through some really tough shit, but you know what? I'm not going to let it define me, then you're in the right place. So I'm going to tell you guys first, for anybody out there who's putting I know we have a lot of people putting mental illness on their list, anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder. I want to tell you that, for me, and you can totally, I'm sure many of you can relate to this, I was on medication from 2007 up until 2 years ago, or no, actually this past year, I stopped taking one of my medications for good. So I've been clean off my meds for quite a while. But I remember that for a long, long time, I hated the fact that I had that label. I hated it. I was embarrassed by it. I didn't want to tell anybody at work about it. I had to take my pills in secret because I was really embarrassed. My mom told me not to tell my family that I was going through this because it was a shame, right? So I built up a lot of shame around mental illness. And if you're out there and you're listening and you've done that too, that is not the solution, and that's not what I'm talking about when it comes to releasing things. Releasing things is learning how to love them and then let them go. And so I needed to get real if that was a part of what I've been through. I needed to get honest about it. And you guys out there too probably have to do the same thing. Get honest about what you've been through. See it for what it is. I don't care if there's a stigma with mental illness. This is something, Maria's even saying it right now. Yeah, there's such a stigma with these things. And we are led to believe that we are ill-equipped or not as good or not as capable of being loved because we have this illness. So everything on your list right now that you have crossed off, you have the capacity to let go of, including mental illness, but you need to learn how to love it first. You need to learn how to love it first, okay? So you've taken your list and you've crossed off all of the things that you cannot control. And I want you to, on that list, do something else for me. Everything on that list is fear because you're not confident because you're afraid. That's really what it boils down to. Confident people are not living in fear. And you're living in fear right now, which is preventing you from feeling confident. So everything on that list, I want you to ask yourself, and I'm going to write this down, am I afraid of not being loved or afraid of not being enough? Which one is it? Every single one of the things you put down is going to be one of those two things. Are you afraid of not being loved or are you afraid of not being enough? And I want you to recognize that for yourself, because once you see what that fear is, it will be easier to let go of whatever trauma it is that brought you here. So I want you guys to take a really brave, bold step today, and we're going to release all of the lack that we've been experiencing in our life. I want you to release it. This is not your story anymore. This is not the way that you have to live. This is not your identity. How many of here want to let go of this and say goodbye to all that past shit? Give me a thumbs up. Give me a like. Give me a thumbs up and give me a like. Are we ready to let go of some stuff? I'm going to show you how. Juicy, juicy, juicy. Maria, Maria, Maria. Oh my God, look at all these loves. I love it, love it. Okay, so we're going to do it. So here's what's going to happen, guys. I'm going to walk you through this awesome release exercise, and then we're going to rip up that list, okay? You ready? And you're going to rip it up on your own terms, okay? I don't want you to do it on this call. I want you to take your time because you're going to go through. You're tearing up here. Yeah, Brandy, because you know what? This is your fucking time. This is what's happening. Everybody who's here has been through shit, and this is what I love about running these groups. It's like, you're not here because you're pretending to be perfect and just wanting to be more perfect. You're here because you got some real bullshit and you're trying to fix it. That's all your belief system is it's bullshit, and you're trying to repair it. And so all of you here have a bullshit belief system that you don't deserve to be confident right now. So I'm going to walk you through some stuff. I'm going to try to cover as much as I can here, and then we're going to rip up our lists, have this big ceremony, celebrate, and start fresh for our day tomorrow. So we believe that we do not deserve to be confident because we're in that lack zone, that gap between where we are versus where we want to be. And the reason that we believe that gap is a source of not being confident is because of how we've grown up, things that have happened, things we've seen in our life. So ready, check it. I'm going to tell you. When I was younger, I had this girl. I was second grade at the pool, waiting to get into this pool, swim class, whatever, and we were talking about our dance classes, and she says to me that I can't take ballet because I can't suck in my stomach. I'm in second grade, okay, so that's I'm 7 years old. I'm like, yeah, bitch, watch me, I could do it. I took this big sucking in noise, and I'm holding my breath, and she goes, no, that's not what I meant. I meant you need to be skinny. And I remember for the first time seeing my body as something bad, and I was 7 years old, okay? I remember this. There's a reason I remember it. And it's not because this was I went home crying and it was horrible. It's a memory that I remember because somehow it triggered my subconscious to believe that I need to be this blonde, thin, stick figure girl in order to get the love and acceptance and live a life without limitation. This was not the first, this wasn't the only time this happened to me, but it was the first. So if you guys have a limiting belief that you're not loved, you're not good enough, you're not capable, it comes from experiences. So if you put those things on your list, I want you to take those and list what the fuck has happened to you that led you to believe that. Because we need to see it. Remember what I mentioned before? We gotta see it. Nicole, I love that you love this. It's like jamming out over here. So Nicole had a similar experience as a child. She says, I wouldn't wear dance unitards because I felt, yeah. I mean, for real. Like, so many of us have been, and it's not a very uncommon thing for a girl to experience that, like, really early age body crisis, right? And so that's what happened to me, and I remember going home and, like, being on a diet. I remember once going to the doctor's office and being told I was in the 90th percentile and thinking I had just, like, almost got 100 on a test. Like, I had no idea what it meant. So here's the thing. All of those experiences have now formed my belief that if I don't have a thin body, I can't be confident, right? But is that really true? Is that, I mean, really, when you think about it, how many gorgeous, voluptuous women out there are feeling good in their own skin? There's a lot. Marilyn Monroe is a perfect example, right? How many are out there who actually do it? Why can't I do it? I can't do it because I have a limiting belief that I need to be skinny, thin, blonde, and beautiful in order to feel confident in my body. And that's not true. So I want you guys to start realizing that everything that you're thinking and feeling and experiencing is because of what you've been through. Not that it's your fault, but everything that you think is holding you back from being confident is because you have formed this belief in your head based on experiences, and it's all just made up bullshit. So we need to recognize it, see it, and then kill it. Okay? So who has one they want to throw at me so that I can walk you through this process? I would love, let me see, maybe I could pick one of you guys. Used to be called Free Will. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Brothers. Jerks. We got some body image stuff I know I covered. Sexual assault and trauma. Okay. So here's what we're going to do for sexual assault and trauma, because I feel like this is something we've really got to dive into, especially at the beginning. Any past experience that we're lingering with, somebody taking advantage of us, somebody hurting us, somebody sexually hurting us, somebody not loving us the way that we deserve and feeling abandoned, right? Those are all heart emotional traumas. They're like that feeling of putting yourself out there and then not being good enough or not being loved. And that shit's hard. That shit is very hard. So if you're dealing with stuff like that, I want you to really just stay in tune with me and just be connected with me as much as you can throughout the course, because I think that for the next 5 days we got to make sure that we can release as much of that as possible. So I've had problems with that in the past where I was sexually assaulted when I was 13 and I ignored it, and then when I was 18 I was raped. And so I had to, all these like flood of emotions kind of sort of surfacing up because I never had dealt with it in a healthy way, and I had to really deal with it head on. It was very, very overwhelming. So for you guys, I want to tell you that when you don't deal with the trauma head on, it actually ends up haunting you and making you live your life like a victim far more than it does if you just open up about it and talk about it and you move forward. And so for me, I was stuffing down, just like I did mental illness, right? How many of us stuff it down, we pretend it doesn't exist, and then it starts to bubble and manifest in other ways, kind of like putting the top on boiling water. It starts to flood out because you're not letting that part of you breathe and express itself. So you develop bad relationships with other people. You shut yourself out to those around you. You maybe date more assholes because you think that, hey, this is all I deserve. Subconsciously, this is what you start to attract. All because you've never dealt with the trauma the first time. So if you've dealt with the trauma the first time, you have formed a limiting belief that you're either not enough or that you're not capable of being loved. And I want you to demolish that. I want you to look at that and say, you know what? This one experience that I went through, in reality, does not define the rest of my life. And today you have the opportunity to make a choice. I don't care what you've been doing up until now. I don't care who you've been up until now. Today I want to give you guys the opportunity to make a choice. Do you want to live life like a victim, or do you want to become empowered by everything that you've experienced to be the amazing person that you're supposed to be? Because the truth is, we wouldn't be faced with these challenges if we weren't capable of overcoming them. And all of us are here because we're ready and hungry to overcome them, and we would not be given that hunger if it wasn't possible. Okay? So I want you guys to know that everything, all the junk, all the bullshit, all the crap that brought you here, this is not who you are. It's just the baggage you've been holding on to. I don't know if you guys read my email, but I used the analogy of like a really ugly couch in the middle of your room, right? You got all this baggage you've been ignoring. You can't enjoy your fucking space. You got to be able to enjoy your life, and you got to do it by recognizing what this shit is so we can get rid of it, okay? So here, this is what's going to happen. For every single belief that you guys have on that list, I'm going to give you your homework assignment right now, and then we can go into some questions if you guys have any questions. I didn't understand my head. Sorry, I'm just reading some messages from you guys. So, yes, you're going to have a homework assignment from me, which is to get rid of all of these limiting beliefs that you've listed, this lack list. I want you to push them away, and you're going to do them by asking yourself a couple of questions for each of those limiting beliefs. So your lack list, aka your limiting beliefs, I want you one at a time to demolish those thoughts. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a piece of paper for each of those beliefs, and you're going to write out the first thought. There's also, just keep in mind, I don't want to overwhelm you, there is a PDF guide when we're getting out of this training. There is a free PDF guide for you guys in the group, in the file section, that you can literally print out and just go through this process, one belief after another. Okay, you can go through your whole entire lack list, easy peasy with that document. So I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by the stuff I'm giving you guys now. Everything I'm going through here is in the PDF guide, and it's really simple. So your first thing is to recognize the thought, which you guys all did on your lack list. So you're going to take that thought, the first one, and say, this thought or experience holding me back is, right? What is this thought or experience? You're going to write it down, because our brains remember when we start to write. Then I want you to acknowledge how it made you feel, because for the longest time you've been trying not to feel that way. I want you to step into it and acknowledge that it hurts. Because if you don't acknowledge that it hurts, you're not loving yourself. You're ignoring your pain. Who does that? If you're a mom for a kid, right, and your kid's screaming and screaming and screaming, then he's like scuffed his knee or he's crying because he has a fever, do you ignore his pain? No, because you love him. So self-love, the key to it is not ignoring that pain. It's actually feeling it and giving yourself permission to feel it. So like Brandy mentioned before, she's like, why am I tearing up? Because you're fucking feeling it, girl. Like, and you should. So that's amazing. So honor it. So that's the first thing. So you want to recognize what the thought is, and then you want to ask yourself, how did this experience make me feel? And see it. See it, experience it, get real with yourself. And then I want you to ask yourself, well, you're going to phrase it like this. This experience does not define me because. Okay? So how did it make me feel? This experience does not define me because. And I want you to list it out. Because when you phrase it in that way, it's going to empower you. It's going to be like, shit, man, so what? I went through this. I could do this. I can, you have the power to do that. You do. The words you use, the language you use, your body language, it's all up to you to take that control and decide that you want to be empowered. So I'm giving you the tools to do it. And then the next question you want to hear is, I know in reality I am blank. Okay? I know in reality I am blank. So if you see what I'm doing there, we're literally taking ourselves on a journey where we are recognizing how we feel, and then we're letting go of it. And it's a beautiful, beautiful experience. And by the end, depending on how much you put on your lack list, you're going to have a stack of paper like this, all printed out. But you don't have to do them all at once. Do the ones that you feel ready to release. I would say, do the biggest, most challenging ones that you're willing to let go of, that you're ready to move on from. Some limiting beliefs, some lacking things on our list, we may not be ready to let go of right away. We may need time to sit with them. We may need time to experience them. This is grief, guys. Lacking confidence is all about trying to come to terms with the fact, not lacking confidence is trying to come to terms with the fact that this is stuff that needs to be changed that we haven't been working on for a while. And yeah, Laura, you can do them in your journal. That's a great question. So, either in your journal, the PDF guide, whatever it is, but at the end, that original list of lack, I want you to release it. I want you to do something when you're done with this assignment and you feel like you've shed a lot. I want you to let go of that list, rip it up, throw it in the garbage, burn it, do something with it. I did a program a while back called the Perfection Program. It was actually the first program I launched, and we had a fear release exercise, and what we did was we wrote down our fears and we tied them to a balloon and we set the balloon free. You can do that too if you want to be really artsy-fartsy and creative, but I think that whatever it is, as long as it's symbolically releasing all of these things from your heart, that's all we need to do. Yes, Maria did the Perfection Pro. Maria's been with me on a very long journey now that I think of it. Yeah, so I'm going to take some time just to see if you guys have any questions to type them up. I don't want to keep these trainings super duper long because then no one's going to watch the replay, and I want to make sure you guys get the most out of it. So if you have any questions, throw them in here. Oh, you printed the PDF. Awesome. Yeah, so Laura, you can print out one. I think some people do it, and they print out one of the PDF guides, and then they just copy it down in a journal for whatever they need to do. Renee, absolutely. It's scary, but it's also empowering. I think that, I see. It's really funny because I see a lot of potential clients who come to me for service or one-on-one coaching or, to join one of my programs or whatever, and they're always scared. But some of them think that one day they won't be scared, and the truth is that day won't come. It just doesn't happen. So if you're not doing things that scare you, they're not going to change you. They're not going to grow you. They're not going to, stretch you. It should feel scary, but empowering at the same time. Absolutely. Oh, that's so nice. So, Chrissy, your daughter's going to print them for you. Awesome. That's so good. Yeah, so I want you guys to feel like, if anything comes up for you emotionally within the next couple of days, reach out to me, connect with me. Tomorrow we're going to have another call. You're welcome, Amanda, of course. We're going to have another call tomorrow. We're going to have one every single day for the 5 days, and then after that we're going to do a follow-up. So the times are going to be different because I want to make sure I reach everybody. So tomorrow I'm thinking of doing one in the afternoon, but I'm going to message you guys in the group and just let you know. Ooh, I like Laura's going to burn her PDF. That's awesome. Yeah. See, I love that symbolic stuff. When I left my unhealthy life and I was starting over, I took all of my journals and I had like a fire pit sesh. I put all my journals in this big fire pit and I just burnt it. I was like, done. But I did type them up first. I typed them up and binded them in like a special book that I was going to use if I ever decided to write a memoir, and burnt all of the books. Yeah, so something really symbolic for you. It's going to be really powerful. And I don't want you guys to be afraid coming into that. Okay? This was awesome, guys. I hope everyone enjoyed it. You guys rocked the call. If you have questions, get at me. Do the release exercise for sure. Yes, yes, yes. Nicole and Brandy, my sisters, we got you. So happy you're here. So, so happy. I love all of you. Reach out if you have any questions, okay? Thank you so much for being on.